Jessica, can you hear me? Tom, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh,
Um,
I'm unmuted.
Not hearing anybody.
Well, I hear you very clearly.
Can anyone hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, I got you now, Tom.
Okay. Plug in the sound, what do you call them? The sound producing items.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything from the meeting room.
Neither am I. Nothing's coming through from there. And I know they're not silent.
They never have been.
Who's that there? Is that Russ? Yeah, I guess that is Russ with a plaid sweater. Is that him right there with his back to us?
That's Russ.
Yeah.
Still no sound from the meeting room.
No, and Josh Monaco is connecting to audio. That's what it's I see. Under the picture of the room, there's a little printout that says that.
Yeah, I see it.
I like this system of using the Zoom.
That's plugged in as well. All right. You hear us now?
Now we hear you.
Gotcha.
All right. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, so.
Congratulations, nice job over there. Tom, we were gonna call you down here to fix everything, because you're our IT guy.
Oh, you bet. You bet. I've gotten
right.
signed on to the Dropbox, but I still can't get in.
All right, we'll get this preamble out of the way, hopefully for the last time, we're hoping. So as Chair of the Alton Planning Board, due to COVID-19, in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order number 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. The town of Alton has moved from in-person meetings to remote audio participation meetings until further notice. Therefore, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. We strongly encourage everyone to attend our meetings remotely, but should you have a need to attend in person, we will make a remote location available upon a reservation request by you to the planning department no later than 2 business days in advance of the meeting date. In accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting electronically may call the conference call number from home, follow the instructions listed under news and announcements on the new town's website, www.alton.nh.gov. B, providing additional public access by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing a Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through the link that is listed under news and announcements on the town's website. C, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to abutters and the public of how to access the meeting via telephone conference and by using Zoom. D, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the Zoom moderator during the meeting that a member of the public wishes to speak or be recognized during public input at a public hearing. If you are calling in by conference call, press the star sign and then the number 9 to raise your hand to request to speak to the board. If you are using a computer, you can use the raise hand button to request to speak to the board. Several members of the public may be conferenced in, and requests to speak will be handled sequentially one at a time. E, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the Zoom moderator during the meeting if there are problems with access. Please call 603-507-1002 if you are having issues accessing the meeting. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public on a whole is unable to access the meeting remotely or there are difficulties with the town's equipment, the meeting will be rescheduled to Tuesday, June 15th, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Alton Town Hall. You may call the planning department at 603-875-2162 between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday for more information and for the dial-in code and meeting ID for each planning board meeting. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We'll start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So, with that, let's,
Roger, hi. Scott Williams, here, with everybody else in this room.
Drew Carter is here.
Bill, Russ Wilder here.
But Russ is an alternate, right?
Bill.
Bill is an alternate.
Yeah, Bill
Sorry.
O'Neill here.
So,
Tom
Russ
Hooks,
Wilder.
and I'm all alone.
Bob Reagan at home alone.
all right. So we officially call this meeting to order here at 6:10 p.m. All right, so let's see. We don't need to appoint an alternate, so we're all good. Agenda, have there been any changes to the agenda?
There have been, yes. I would like to add under other business, D. It's an amendment to Senate Bill 96 to include the language that came from House Bill 111 that had to do with stripping the immunity from municipal employees and board members.
For the insurance purpose, right?
For the insurance purposes, correct. And I would also like to add, right before we adjourn the meeting is appointment of alternate, and that would be for Tom Divany for a one-year seat. This is his third meeting.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to accept the agenda as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
All those in favor? Roger?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill? Oh, wait. Alternate Drew, aye. Russ? Tom?
Look at that.
Aye.
Bob
Bob?
Reagan, yes.
All right. All right, so, first case on the agenda is, continued, case P 2106. This is a lot line adjustment. Map 11, lot 31, and map 35, lots 19, 22, 22A. So, and, so we had to continue this one. We had some questions, as I recall, on septic.
In setbacks too, weren't
Yep,
there?
there was 3 items. One of them had to do with, who belongs to those septic vents and where did they go to? That was one. The second one was to add a note to the plan, referencing the abutters list in the planning file, and to also indicate the summer water line.
Right.
And they did submit, an updated plan. They indicated the summer water line. They did add a note to the plan regarding the abutters notice and the vents on the septic system, that those vents belong to a septic system that's across the street, and that's owned by the same people. So the septic's across the street and the vents are on the other side.
Makes sense.
So there's a septic system,
It's on lot, map 35, lot 21A.
22, 2A?
And this 22A is where the septic vents are located.
Right, but that also shows a septic system approximate outline there.
That's on a separate lot.
That's
That
22.
belongs to the lot 21A, that whole septic and vents.
Driving by there and looking at it,
Sure is.
Right beside that garage, it goes right up.
it's all trees.
I agree. I drove by it on purpose to see that myself.
Yeah, I think there's a very short, flat area before that thing just goes right up.
So it's down in that flat.
Yeah. Yeah, because what's deceiving is you see the shed that's right off of the driveway, and that, so it's right between the road and the shed, basically, is that,
Okay. And the shed belongs to him, and does he own that lot, 22K?
it's owned by the folks across the street.
In the
The Freeze family.
the the two-story wood frame?
22A is owned by Biswinger and Matheson.
Oh, over there, okay.
Yeah. Lot 22 is owned by Freeze.
So this shed is still gonna be, is that Freeze's shed, is still
Nope,
gonna
that's
be?
gonna be the Biswinger Matheson shed.
And they're
Excuse
gonna
me,
be
I think, Jessica, I think, Jim Rhines could give you some answers.
Yes, do you guys wanna talk to Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Go right ahead.
Hi, Jim.
Oh,
So we have
thank you, Tom.
Jim Rhines on Zoom.
Yeah, so the Jim Rhines from White Mountain Survey and Engineering, thank you. Kevin stood in for me last month because I was, had another planning board meeting I had to be at. But yes, so the shed on 3522A is the Binswanger shed, and those septic vents are for the Binswanger Matheson septic system. The leach field for the lakefront lot, which is 35-21A, is pumped across East Side Drive or Route 28A onto this lot, and those septic vents are for that system. Does that answer everybody's question?
Well, I still had a question. I thought part of this whole thing was to get everybody's property on their property.
It
So, I mean,
is.
that shed, is Freeze giving it to them? I mean, that's obviously goes with all those other sheds.
No,
Garages.
actually, it doesn't. So the Binswanger and Matheson had a shed there, and when the Freezes redid their garage, They asked, because the Binswangers and Matheson are family with the Freezes, and they asked if they could make it look like their garage. So they just made it appearance-wise look like it's theirs, but it's always
Good
been
job.
a Binswanger shed.
It's just like it.
Yeah, it worked.
Perfect. And then also they showed the water line. That was something else we wanted, right?
Right.
Yes, yeah, the water line has been, the water company put stakes out on the ground, and we located those stakes, and we've shown that. And we put a note in the center of the page under general notes, number 2, that notes that the abutters are on file with the Alton Town Hall Planning Department. And then in the revision block in the lower left-hand corner of the plan, we identified those changes on the plan.
Did you note that that was a seasonal water line?
We put that it was water line per the town of Alton Water Department.
Okay, I think that should be noted as seasonal water line, because that is not year-round water up there. And I just think for future, anybody that sees that, they'll know that that's not gonna work in January.
Yeah. That's what we.
Maybe soon, maybe soon.
Maybe soon. What's gonna happen, Tom?
All right.
Guy's gonna fall.
Solved everything.
So I'm gonna add that as a condition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, does everybody agree with me that makes sense to put that as seasonal?
Yeah, I think, it's accurate. I think it should be accurate.
Well, for the purposes of noting that there's a utility there, though, whether it's seasonal or not, it's still a utility.
Right, right. But if someone looks at this plan 25 years from now, and they says, oh, there's a water line there, I can use it.
Well, around, yeah.
You're not gonna be able to use it off-season. April 15 to October 15, that's the
Well,
service.
the only other difference is if they look at this plan, they'll see the water line, but the house has got water, so they've always got a well, so, I mean, if you're looking at this plan, you're only looking at this area.
But you don't know who's gonna be around and who's gonna be the players in 25 years.
I can tell you it won't be me.
Yeah, likewise. Tom will still be on the board, though.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I knew Jim when he had hair.
That's right. That was a long time
And
ago.
we both had dark hair.
Okay, so, I think that pretty well hit all of our points.
It's wonderful to me.
So, I
So
will
basically,
entertain a
what we're
motion.
talking about, everything is more,
Oh, yeah, thank you.
everything is more conforming. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All lots become more conforming.
Or less non-conforming.
Yes,
Yeah.
less non-conforming.
All right, so we open it up to the public. Do we have any public? So hearing none, we'll close the public. So take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, on case P 21-06, I move to approve the plan as presented, conditions precedent, as well as the additional verbiage of seasonal water line.
Right, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
All right, Russ spoke before you did, Tom.
That's all right. That's fine. I don't need it.
All right, do we have any more discussion on this? Hearing none, go for a vote. Roger?
Roger, aye.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye. Russ?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob?
Bob, aye.
All right,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Stay
Good night.
safe.
Yep. Off to another planning board meeting.
Oh, it's much easier this way.
It is, yeah. Bye-bye.
Are you leaving the room, though? Are you leaving the room to go to the other meeting?
I am. I'm actually, it's Ossipee's planning board meeting in person and it's at 7 o'clock. So this works out good.
Hopefully you're in Wolfboro.
All right. Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next case, P 21-07, voluntary lot merger. This is the one that, down on River Lake Street, that was residential, commercial. And so we had a question about what does it become after it's been merged?
Yep.
And Jessica found the answer.
Okay, so, so I did some research on this, and Tom actually came into the office and just so happened to drop off a memo, along with all kinds of other stuff he's been dropping off on me, that was from Nick back in 2016. She had done some research on bifurcated lots. And I went back, read through all the minutes. So there was an ordinance on file, but was repealed back in 2012. And that was the one that had to do with the lots, that thing about being less restrictive. That's actually hasn't been in existence since 1992. Was repealed in a ballot vote in 1992. So nothing has been in existence.
Okay.
There's nothing in the zoning ordinance that talks about bifurcated lots.
Yes, there is.
There isn't. There isn't. I
Well-
looked through it, and Nick did back in 2016.
Okay, I'll use an example. I did the post office in 1995, which is post that. I had a bifurcated lot. And the town voted to move the property, the zoning districts to follow the property lines. Did you find that?
So there's a comment here about a 1998 specific warrant article. And that was talking about map 32, lot 43. Is that you?
Nope, I'm 2717 or something like that.
All right.
But that wasn't just me, that was, because they can't do just one lot. All the lots on that whole side of the street that had, I think the original zone was 200 feet from the center line of
Yes.
Main Street. Am I right, Tom?
Yes,
Yeah, and so.
I remember that when you came before it.
Right, and then at that point, the town, it was put on a ballot. Penny Jones was town clerk, and it was done that it followed the property lines. That is there.
So
That was a zoning change.
What's that?
That was a zoning change.
Yes, well, which this is a zoning issue as well, because it's a bifurcated lot.
But as it stands, there's no rule for it until the town actually votes and moves the line.
Right.
But
So,
is this lot, it would be if they merge it. It's not,
Then it'll be, yeah, right, it wasn't now, so there's gonna be a problem there, I think, at some time. And maybe this is something we put together at the ZAC level to address this.
right, this was thrown at the ZAC back in 2016, and it was voted on to not discuss it because it only came up once every 10 years, and it was a waste of ZAC's time.
Here's the 10 years.
yeah, or
Yeah.
5. Maybe
So-
5.
So in any event, so I looked through the zoning ordinance, and I searched through everything to find anything about less restrictive, more restrictive, to see if, there was in fact
I'm very
anything in there.
perplexed at that, I'm not gonna argue the point.
So what I did find, there were 3 sections in the zoning ordinance that refer to lots or things being restrictive. It talks about something in the condominium section, which is section 329. And it talks about in the case of a conflict on any type of regulation, that the more restrictive should apply.
I saw that.
Then I also went through and found in section 333, which is home business criteria. And again, it talks about signs, it's limited by whatever's, the different zoning districts. And if there's ever a question on something, again, it goes with the more restrictive. So that's section 333. And then the last section, I found information, it was section 560, which is miscellaneous provisions. And this is miscellaneous provision A, and it says, the more restrictive standard shall apply whenever the provisions of this ordinance differ from those prescribed by any statute, regulation, or restriction. So again, it goes with more restrictive. So there are 3 current ordinances that talk about things being more restrictive, not less restrictive.
Right.
So I wasn't sure, that still wasn't sure what the answer would be. So I talked to Jim about it, and 2 of the questions that he asked me was, what zone would the frontage be in? And the size of the lot, what was the majority of the lot? What zone was that located in? So all of the frontage is in residential, and the majority of the lots, even before merging them, is residential. So he said it's gonna be residential.
If you can for the Zach, we should probably discuss that again.
Yeah,
See if we want
and
to
it,
squash
yeah,
it or
I agree,
talk
because
about it.
it's.
It's not clear.
There's no specific criteria to look at. So the answer is the lot will be residential.
Because I'm sure when you go up through the Lakeshore in the rural zone, up through there, or the rural residential, there's probably a quagmire of zoning lines
Yeah.
bridging through
And I
lots.
agree, and I don't understand why back in '92 it was taken off. I don't understand I don't like the reasoning for that. If something was in place assisting the
Well,
board.
I'd
have to look
I
at
may have the history, and Tom, you probably will remember this. When the zone, and this was when Laura Whittemore was the town's planning
Secretary.
secretary.
Yeah,
Secretary, right. And the one to a ballot. It says the owner, and I'm probably going to paraphrase and maybe get the exact wording wrong, but it was the word "the" was used, or the word "the" was owner was supposed to be used, but it was someone added an "n" to the then owner, and so I was not an owner of that lot on School Street then, but I was the owner. And so Penny Jones, God love her, she went and researched the thing, found the wording of the ordinance, and it was supposed to be the owner. The N was put in, and the town corrected it.
Yeah.
So that's probably what you saw in 1992. Would you
There
agree with that,
also,
Tom?
Scott, there was also a point at which there was a measured distance back from the center line or from
Right.
beginning of the lot, and whichever had the most percentage of was the zone that they were able to choose. So the greater percentage that you had, and it was confusing. So I don't know.
This was all a result of the post office property, because it was it's a rectangular lot, and it was almost dead nuts, right diagonally through the lot. You know, and then the lot where I have the center on, the whole backland to that was residential. And we says, well, that makes no sense. It's landlocked. What's that?
In this particular case, it seems like Jim is saying it
Would make sense. I would agree.
Yeah.
But I think everybody needs to know the history of what this came about.
But in order for them to move on,
Yeah.
that little strip in the back is immaterial, really, so.
Right, and it's like 20 feet wide, so you can't even really build on it.
No.
You got 10-foot setback, you're building nothing.
It looks like 3 different zones come together with this piece of property.
Yeah, pretty much,
You
right?
got the rural residential, and the residential commercial. And they all, it's like somebody owned that piece of property and somebody didn't like them. Because, I mean, the residential commercial kind of zigzagged around them.
Yeah, but the railroad tracks didn't help it any.
Yeah, the railroad was basically lot 8.
Okay, so I believe, though, that last month, that was really the only gray area on this whole thing. So with this kind of determination that we go residential on the, so with that, I'll entertain or we're going to go public
Yeah,
now?
we can do
I'm gonna go
it.
public.
Yeah, I would open public.
So do we have any public? Having no public.
To the applicant. here? No? Okay. I didn't think so.
Mr. Chairman,
These two lots, merged lots, be categorized as residential. How's that?
was that a motion? Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Scott Williams, second, sorry.
Scott Williams, second.
And Russ Wilder made the motion. Gotta say that, Russ, for TV land.
All right.
Roger, aye.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye. Russ, aye.
Tom, I.
Bye-bye.
All right. Excellent.
Can I just have a question? So your motion was to
The
categorize these lots as residential,
residential once they are merged together.
once they're merged?
So he's approving
Okay.
the merger as well.
I didn't catch the once they're merged. Okay.
Jess, do we have many things in the pipeline coming at us, or?
For applications and
Yeah.
stuff? We have a conceptual.
Okay, I'm just trying to see the pulse of what's happening out there.
Yeah,
That's
it was
where.
like, we were slammed and then now it's kind of slowed down a little bit, which I'm grateful for.
Nobody wants to buy plywood.
Not gonna complain.
It's ridiculous.
All right. So moving on to old business update on the town engineer RFP.
So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that the RFP, has gone out. I've gotten, just a handful of people, interested. They haven't asked any questions or anything, so I didn't have to go through the question and answer portion. Let's see, it is due, the deadline is, the deadline is May 28th. So once May 28th comes along, I will do up, you know, a spreadsheet or something and compare everybody. And then at the June meeting, you guys can take a look at all of them. I looked through, back in 2017 when you guys did it the first time to see what we did then. And that's what it was. So you guys looked through all of them. And then at that point, you decided who to interview. And then so July would be interviews and we scheduled them for 5 o'clock before a planning board meeting at different, you know, different times. And then we started the meeting at 6.
Good.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
That works.
Just me, I mean.
All right. Next, number B.
Well,
Not to be confused with letter 1. Master Plan Committee. So an update from the chairman.
Good evening. Is Tara Bamford is going to join us, is that correct?
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're gonna let her on?
Yep, you want her on now, Bob? Is that?
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
You want to introduce her?
Okay, Tara's with us. Hi, Tara. The Board of Selectmen met Monday night, and they voted to accept the contract as written, and we got the signature of Paul LaRochelle and also Virgil McDonald, although Virgil recused himself from the contract. So the Board of Selectmen has signed it. This was following a meeting on 4/29 of the Master Plan Committee, where we all discussed the contract and voted to accept it. Tara is going to be, assuming that the planning board signs the contract, our next meeting on June 2nd, she will be in a position to give us some specific schedule commitments. And we'll have already done a physical survey of the town, by which I mean she's going to spend a half a day or more visiting various parts of Alton and getting a lay of the land. Tara, would you like to add a few comments to that? This is all in support of task 1 in the contract.
Sure. I wanted to say hello tonight in part so you can put a face with a name. And also, so you could ask any questions you might have on the scope or the agreement. Also, I'd hope to hear whether the planning board has any goals or marching orders for the project to add to the excellent direction I'm sure we're getting from the master plan committee. Would it be helpful if I just hit some of the highlights of the work plan?
Yeah, please.
So as Bob said, we would hit the ground running on June 2nd. We'll have a lot of work for the committee already. Hopefully we won't scare any members away. I'll be meeting with the committee on the 2nd to talk about an online survey that we'll use to gather input on priorities and areas of concern. We'll be using that data to organize 3 public workshops later in the summer to talk about vision and goals. We'll be sending out postcards to all of the voters and landowners in town with the survey link so that you can maximize the best of hitting 100% of voters and landowners, but the cost savings that goes with an online survey. While the survey's happening, I'll be conducting interviews of 5 local leaders and 5 agencies who can tell us more about underrepresented populations in town, people who might not be able to participate in a survey or meetings. The master plan committee will be pointing me in the right direction for those interviews. And as Bob said, before I conduct the interviews, I'll be spending a day in town just to get a feel for land use patterns, the lay of the land, landmarks, so that when I'm doing the interviews, I'm familiar with different parts of town that people are referring to. Most of the time in the project will be spent working sleeves rolled up with the committee to draft an updated vision and goals and also a work plan for getting the rest of the project done. That's the work plan in a nutshell.
Great.
Okay, Tom or Russ, do you have any additional comments, questions?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I did provide through Jessica some ideas about various parts of town, kind of list for you. I don't know what you thought about that. It's quite extensive, but if you're here and you try to make sure you hit all those areas, you pretty much all have covered what seems to be nodes of neighborhoods, if you will, of the town.
And I think that's like is that the list that you sent me, Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
I have
my email.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you had any questions about any of those, you could give me a call if you'd like.
Okay, super.
I've got a question. I know that you're starting, basically hitting the ground running June 2nd. Do you have a ballpark thought of when the working draft would be ready? Is that, how, weeks, months?
That's one of the things to be determined.
I think
And
yeah.
also identifying the outline headers, if you will.
And I think we scoped
the-
it out as about 6 months.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I'll have a pretty detailed timeline work plan for the committee. I'll be sending out material before June 2nd, so I'll actually be starting tomorrow if you sign the contract tonight.
We'll get that done.
Hi, Tara, I'm Scott Williams, and you talked about the postcards going out with questionnaires. UNH did a questionnaire for us some years ago, and I want to be very, very careful and not ask leading questions, because the ones that were done by UNH in the past were so stacked in one person's viewpoint of how this town should go, it was disgusting. And I just think I hope the questions come before this board so we can review them and approve them, because this needs to be a non-political, whether you're an environmentalist or pro-builder or any of these things, these need to be right down the middle of the road to get the best viewpoint for the town. Let the townspeople speak without being coached. I guess that's the word I want to use. It needs to be clear and unadulterated, and let them answer their own ways.
One of the things that we're going to address at our next meeting of the master plan committee.
I just want to second what Scott said.
Basically, there are two questions that we'd like to zero in on for the questionnaire. And you know, Tara's the expert on this stuff, but the idea would be to have some kind of open-ended sorts of questions that are not leading.
Right.
And we'll, you know, we'll get different kinds of input from different parts of the population. And I think that's going to be very useful to us.
I think the important thing, I mean Scott said just what I wanted to say. I saw that survey and he's spot on. The important thing is that we get a chance to look at this before it does go out in postcards and surveys, rather than, you know, all of a sudden seeing it and finding that it is leading.
I'm a staunch believer in what the voter says goes. Whether I like it or not, the voting public makes the rules. And I don't want them to be influenced in any way, shape, or form of what they're going to transmit in that questionnaire.
Okay, if you want to take 3 minutes now, what I'd be recommending to the committee is, as Bob said, just 2 questions. Something like, what do you like best about Alton and what would make it even better? This is really just to get the categories people are thinking about to frame those workshops, public workshops we'll have later.
Because there's a lot of people that come to Alton for what they love about Alton when they do there, but then they start asking me, what day's trash pickup? You know, and things of that nature. I said, trash day is a social event. You go to the dump, you know, and those things. I mean, so I want to be careful of that.
So I assume that
It's
you're
a
talking
transfer
about,
station.
Thank you. You're correct.
so you're talking about
Well,
that all.
The purpose of correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, but the purpose of the
Yeah, hang on,
questionnaire is really to get a baseline.
Can you hold on a second? Okay, so can I just share something real quick? When everyone talks, nothing gets picked up on that audio. It's blank. So I don't know what anybody ever said. So I just wanted to just share that with you. So we got
Got that blah, blah, blah part in your
Right.
meeting minutes recordings?
And if I could just say one thing further, so what Tara is saying, that the survey questions, it's 2 questions. It's not this big, long,
Were you here when we did the?
yeah, the all in for
Okay.
all. So the
Well,
survey,
I think this one was before that though, Jeff.
Yeah,
I was
wasn't
here
it?
with,
No.
no, I was only here with that.
The all in for all. This one was before that
So
UNH
the
did.
survey literally is gonna have 2 questions, correct, Tara?
If it's important to the board, we could include a third to get at what's your relationship with Alton, so that we could compare the results of residents and non-residents, if that's important.
So so it's not gonna have
Yeah,
all
I'll-
those.
well,
It's-
how would I know?
I know, but what I'm saying is, so this is a positive thing. It's
Yep.
real short, it's basic. What do you like?
Wide open.
What you don't like?
Yeah,
And how are you related to the town?
no, that's.
Yeah, I think,
I like
I
it.
really like that
I like
idea,
that way
Tara.
better than all of those other questions. It was awful, and I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Tara is keyed in on what our population dynamics are. You know, we're 5,000 people that live here year-round.
Yeah.
And there's another 10 that show up next week.
That's right.
Or more.
Yeah. Well, how about when everybody answers, I like the boating and the lake? So you just did this big survey and that's what that's the answer you got. I like
Yeah.
boating and the lake.
But
How do you do a master plan out of that?
well, I don't think that'll happen because you're gonna have 5,000 people here who don't live on the lake most. You know, there's a lot of people who live, who are the townspeople that are year round. They're not gonna answer that way.
You'll get those answers. I mean, you will, but, you know, you're gonna get all sorts of answers.
Yeah.
You've got to cull through it. Well,
That's my job.
There you go.
all right. All right. Any other questions or?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're looking forward to it is right.
So we have a contract to sign?
Yeah, do we need to vote on it officially or do we
I would vote
just?
yes.
All right, so.
Sign it, right?
I make a
Yeah,
motion,
well-
we sign the contract.
Thank you.
I'll second that. Scott Williams, second.
Scott Williams seconded, Tom's
Motion by Tom.
motion. All right, all those in favor? Roger?
Roger, I.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye. Russ?
That's aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
There we go. All right.
Ron, Tara.
I'll get that thing signed. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We're
Tara.
looking forward to it, Tara.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about the project.
It'll be a learning experience.
You know, hopefully for me too, no matter how many years
Oh,
I do this. every
definitely
time's
for
really
you.
different.
It's for everybody. It's a good learning experience, really.
Yeah,
All right. Have a good evening.
I agree. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, so next on old business, Dropbox and the use of tablets at meetings.
This is
Oh,
Jessica's
sorry.
rule.
So I know I've already talked about this several times, but, so what I'm trying to do is, I had a discussion with Josh on tablets, and what the goal is to get maybe 10 or so tablets and dock them here in the meeting room. And so each board member will have their own separate login. And so each board, each committee that comes in can just, you can walk in, grab a tablet, sit down, and look at your Dropbox stuff. And so that's, I actually attended the ZBA meeting. I filled in for John at this last meeting. And I asked them what they thought of it as well, and they agree that that would be a really good idea. And Josh thought that was a good idea. We've already passed it by Liz. Something that, you know, you don't have to buy one for each member. It's just,
Yeah, this.
In a
would be
month.
the property of the town.
that's just a number
Yeah.
I threw out, you know, a number of tablets, and then each board comes in, you can grab one, log in with your own login information, bam, you got your information right in front of you.
So when you
And
log
then you dock
in,
it when you're all done.
when you log in with your credentials, your information comes up.
Yeah.
Or
so
your
whatever-
profile, probably like a profile that gets.
Yeah,
built
we'd
for
have to
yourself.
have some sort of profile
Yeah.
set up for each member that wants to use a tablet. And then meeting's done, you go put it, dock
off,
it back.
Now, this would be a way we could cut back on some of the paper we require coming in.
Absolutely.
Because,
Don't
you know,
for it.
that 5 copies of, let's say you have
Yeah.
10 sheets, my goodness gracious, that's a lot of copies.
Yep.
And at $4 or $5 a sheet, you know,
And that's part of the
Reams and
regulation
reams of
changes
paper.
that we're doing.
And then basically one after we're done with them, you ditch half of them and save only a couple.
So,
The
yeah.
other thing is you'll be able to look at these drawings now and be able to zoom in
You
on
can
them.
blow it right up, yeah.
So,
I think it's a great
We
idea.
won't use our own machine,
That's the goal, in the long run, right.
right, for a while.
You could, right, if you choose to do that,
Yeah,
then,
and I'll be happy to bring in mine, I mean, my own machine, or, you know,
yep, for the time being.
yeah, till you
So
get.
that's the goal. So the ZBA agrees, so I'm gonna do a memo, to ZBA and the planning board both recommend that maybe the selectmen create a warrant article, or however
Yep.
Liz thinks it would be best to,
I think in the long run, it will save the town money.
it will.
there was some
Yeah.
grant money that was available from the state.
How many reams of paper do you go through in a month?
Too many.
Yeah, like lots of
In a
them.
day.
It's like chips, you can't just eat one.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I will work on that.
Great. There's one thing that I think we should add to these agendas, and I really would like to speak to it today if we can. When we get Zach up and running, we should have a report from Zach. And I would like to report a little on the tiny house
Yeah.
committee.
Kind of like we do with Bob.
Right,
Bob Show.
right.
and that's playing-
The Bob Show, yeah.
Yeah.
Set up committees or subcommittees.
Yeah, they should
Yeah.
be reporting.
Reporting,
I think
yeah.
so. I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So the next item
All
was
right.
the item I wanted to
Yeah,
add.
next item is, has to do with the amendment.
Right, so, the legislatures are getting creative. So they've decided that since HB 111, got tabled and no one was interested in passing that, they've decided to take that language and stuff it into another bill that actually has a lot of support.
Yeah, buggers.
Is that
It
the
has-
budget? Is that the budget that they're sticking it into?
I'm sorry?
It's gonna be
Is
buried
that
in
the budget that they're sticking it into?
No. This is the
No.
state government, not federal.
No, no,
No, I think it's state budget.
the state budget, and Senate Bill 2, I think, is where they're putting a lot of things.
Right, no,
Well,
this
this
isn't, this isn't Senate Bill 96.
Senate Bill 96 is.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
What is the mechanics of what they want to achieve here? Because they're gonna cut the legs out from planning boards across the state.
Right.
Well-
So the underlying, I think the underlying reason is it all stems down to the police department.
Yeah, that's what they
And
want.
how they don't want the police to have immunity.
Right. They-
So the
Well,
way
then
it's
call it
worded,
In the police.
it includes everybody.
Yeah, this is originating,
Employees, board members.
these are coming not from here, they're coming from nationally. You know, the
Not coming from
organizations
state.
that are bringing this
Right.
legislation to every state.
They're doing this in 44 states right now.
44.
Yeah.
So it's not originating in New Hampshire, it's originating.
No.
But, yeah, but.
Ben and Jerry were down here from Vermont promoting it, or wherever the heck they're from now.
Yeah.
They did some carpetbaggers that moved in and got on into the legislature and they, well, that's what they are. I mean, and they proposed this bill, it got tabled, and usually when it gets tabled, it's done for the session, so you're not gonna see it for the next 2 years, it's out. And so someone grabbed it and then stuffed it onto, this bill, Senate Bill 96, is training for jurists, judges, and
Right.
police. So you can see there's a theme here, and what they're doing is they don't want, police, to have immunity for, basically if there's a police brutality, they want to be able to go after the police officers, sue them individually, go after their finances, their house, whatever they,
The thing about it is any one of us act negligently or viciously, the town insurance won't cover us anyway.
Well, exactly. And
Right.
there's a difference between a type of, like a civil case or a criminal. If you assault someone and you're on the planning board, that's a whole, you're not protected anyway. Because
No, you shouldn't be.
that's a criminal. Now, it's
Right.
criminal, you're gonna get arrested and then they can go after you that way. So it's just,
But
I'm not
it's based
sure. I'm
on
still
good
trying to-
faith.
Hmm?
If we make a decision based in good faith on what we think are the zoning regulations,
right.
someone can
You're covered.
sue us down the road if it gets overturned in court.
Right.
Or
But
if they don't like it.
If they don't like it, they can sue it.
If we follow Jim's advice, we can't be sued.
No, don't say that. You always can be sued, Tom.
Right.
You
No,
always
No,
can be sued.
the town can be sued,
Individually,
but
we
not,
cannot, we are covered by the town if we follow the advice of the town attorney.
That I would agree with.
Currently.
Currently,
But if this passes, you're not.
exactly.
That's the problem.
So,
You
yeah.
won't have any volunteers willing to do this.
I know, I mean, it puts my
How
job.
many thousands of hours a year statewide do volunteers provide to their respective communities?
It's awful. This is awful. So,
Should we maybe invite our local representatives to come in to speak to us?
Marty and Howard,
why not?
I don't hear from them.
Well,
I think there's gonna be some kind
actually-
of a vote tonight.
Senator for this district is Gray, right?
It is.
He's one of the co-sponsors for that Senate Bill 96. I think he's one of the sponsors.
Well, we need to cut them off at the knees.
Well, or get him in here and say, okay, why?
Who's the
co-sponsor? I think it's Senator Gray is one of the co-sponsors.
Yeah.
for Senate Bill
I don't
96.
have it on here.
From Guilford, is he?
No,
Right,
he
because
This is Rochester?
I thought he was this area.
Yeah, he's our
Part of,
Yeah.
part of this area.
Yeah, he is one of the sponsors.
Yeah, he's one of the co-sponsors on Senate Bill 96.
I think having Senator Gray explain the motives to us might not be a bad idea.
Right.
At his convenience.
And what the thing to do is invite Ray Howard and Peter Varney at the same time,
Exactly.
and get them all in here. Find out what the heck they're doing.
That's gonna be a heated night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and maybe we want to invite a few reps from our police department, just in case.
Yep.
So,
We did last night at town hall. They go there just for road bonding or whatever.
Someone had suggested to me that part of the reason that they're folding this into Senate Bill 96 is that it becomes something that the governor is less likely to veto. And and that may be a piece of it as well.
Right. That's where the line item veto would be good, but they took the wheels out from underneath that.
Well, he gets the veto it and they need 2/3 to overturn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about it is you veto, you're probably gonna veto a lot of good stuff.
right.
Yeah.
You throw a bit of traction there with it.
And then next time he runs, they say, he doesn't like pregnant women, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like these people.
That's politics though, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
I don't even know how we go about inviting our reps, but,
So I send out an invite to them.
Town can send out an invite.
To,
and
attend our next planning board meeting.
With a resident.
Incidentally, in looking at the sponsors of this, it's a bipartisan bill, so
it is.
there's that to consider as well. And if we,
I think
if we
it
only have
initially
our state reps talk to us, that will not be bipartisan.
Yeah, I think the
Our state
original
reps are not
was
bipartisan.
This was,
Oh, you noticed?
The part we're objecting to is this thing that got snuck into it. So,
Right.
I think it's Americans for Prosperity.
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
All
so
right, I will reach out to them and I'll
Send
invite
out
them as
Thank you.
guest speakers at our next meeting.
cordial invitation.
We may have to have a new venue, we'll have to do it at the high school auditorium, there'll be so many people.
Yeah, that's very true.
Whatever it takes. Because public needs to be educated, plain and simple. What your flavor is, so you need to be educated.
Okay.
Next.
All right, so under new business, ZAC committee begins June 2021,
Yep, it's actually June 23rd.
June 23.
Yep.
I did not get on ZAC this time, did I?
Yes, you did.
You did.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, the
You've
train
been
came through.
railroaded.
June 23rd is our first meeting.
Oh, cool, all right, I'll put it on my calendar.
Jeff, did you look any, I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you look any more about the Google Calendar stuff?
I did.
You did? And drum roll.
So it's not doable right now, but
Okay.
Josh is working on something to make it doable. And he will keep us updated as things.
Awesome, because I think that would, my mind goes mushy once in a while when I get in the heat of the day, you know, I mean.
Yeah, I had that moment yesterday, actually. It's a meeting tomorrow. All right, so June 23rd, CIP committee, deadline to submit applications up to 3 citizen members is June 4. Have we had any?
So, I actually have 2 applications. Oh, good. Yep. I have one, he is a, sergeant, I think, in the Wolfboro PD. And, Gabby O'Toole, so she works for the town. So she wants to be on it. She was on it a couple years ago.
And Bob's on it, right?
So Bob is not on it. So I'm putting Lee Hillsgrove on it instead.
Okay.
So that way Lee has been to attend. Bob's been on it before in the past.
And Bob, you did a great job. You really did.
And when I looked,
Thank you.
went and looked at the regulations, it's only one planning board member, really. So Virgil's our selectman rep. So Lee's gonna be on it, and I think you're on it. So Lee's kind of like, he wasn't sure if he'd be able to make every meeting, so he can kind of be like our alternate sort of person that comes and learns. So I wanted to be able to give him an opportunity to attend something.
Because the CIP has been in existence for 25, 30 years, and I think last year's the first time that the selectmen really reacted to the presentation from the CIP, which is.
Amen.
Exactly.
So at the next meeting, I'll have the citizen member applications for you guys to look at and approve.
Okay. All right. Approval of minutes. You are all caught up.
For every board, every committee.
Everything.
The minutes just plain old stink.
All right, so, let's see. So the first one, on our list, workshop minutes from February 9th.
I actually had a correction. I realized that I had Tom voting twice when we adjourned, so he doubly adjourned. So, that,
Oh, yeah.
Russ, do you have comments on that February workshop?
I gave them to you,
Okay,
so you must have incorporated them now.
I
I've
did.
caught up on all of them. and
I did.
And sent them to you.
They were things like changing wondered to asked. There was a the missing in one of them. They were just very minor, sort of
Yeah,
grammatical.
there was only a
Those
couple.
little words can be huge.
It wasn't anything real
When you say
substantive.
wondered, I'm thinking of myself going like this, you know,
Okay,
instead of being.
I agree, and
asked,
I've
yeah.
seen that sort of,
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there.
okay.
But no, they're very good. They're great minutes, really. They're very solid.
All right. Do we want to, just?
I'll make a
go through-
motion, we accept the minutes of February 9 as
As amended,
presented.
as amended.
Yeah, as amended.
All
I'll
right.
second that.
That was Tom making the motion, Russ seconding. All those in favor? Roger?
Aye.
Scott abstained, I was absent.
All right. Drew, aye. Russ?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye,
Tom?
Aye.
aye.
All right. And
Bob.
Roger, you're actually not listed as being there either
Aye.
Would you rather abstain? You weren't here at this workshop,
at the February 9 workshop.
no.
You're not on the list, right?
Wonder why?
You weren't here, Scott wasn't here, Virgil wasn't here, and Lee wasn't here.
I apologize.
Everybody was lonely.
I think it's that Google Calendar thing.
All right, so you just vote to an abstention then.
So you
Then
will,
I'll go with an abstention, yeah.
Okay. All right. Next on the list, workshop minutes from March 23.
Was I there?
You're on the list.
I have a correction for you. Even though I wasn't there, on the first page and the, where it says call to order,
yes,
second sentence, Mrs. Williams.
Second sentence.
are you on March 23rd or March 16th?
March 23rd. I don't have it in front of me. I just wrote my notes down. Because my notes are in the computer.
Oh, second paragraph, third line.
Mr.
Miss
Williams.
Miss Williams.
Mine says
Mine says
Mr.
Mr.
Mine says.
No, actually, third line into that, down right in the center.
Yeah, there it is. Thanks,
Good
John.
grab.
I would like to correct that because
Wife was not here.
That's right.
it's minor, but it's important for Scott. Otherwise, I have no problems.
Jess, I'm looking for that disc of the company, so I haven't forgotten you yet.
All right. Any other comments on those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the March 23 workshop minutes, 2021, as amended.
Scott Williams made the motion. Do we have a second? Russ seconds it. All those in favor? Roger?
Aye.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye.
I have to abstain. I wasn't there.
I also have to abstain. I was not there.
Had both you, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong one here. Oh, yeah, so we actually had Bill. So you were here as a,
I'll vote aye.
Bill votes aye. All right.
Yes.
All right, next on our list, planning board minutes, March 16.
You'll
I have
remember
no
that night,
problems.
too.
Yeah, Bill, you were here on this one?
I was in sunny Florida.
Yep, Bill O'Neill was appointed by the chair.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the March 16th, 2021 minutes of the planning board as presented. That was tough.
All right, Scott Williams made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we'll give the second to Bill.
Okay,
We'll give to Bill.
Yeah.
No way making.
All right, all those in favor? Roger?
Aye.
Scott, aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Drew, aye.
I abstain. I was absent.
Bob, aye.
So we have, this is March 16, right?
Yes.
So I'm showing that Tom Hoops was appearing remotely.
Yes.
I was online, but I hadn't been voted in. I hadn't been sworn in.
Oh.
Okay.
I wasn't sworn in yet.
But I don't have, he is quick, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I don't have Russ listed.
There was one of those you weren't at, were you, Russ? I think.
I didn't miss too many.
That was the meeting you weren't there.
That's the one I was.
You weren't there. No, there was one meeting you weren't. That was it.
Okay,
That would be weird.
so, okay. So that's an abstention then from Russ. All right. Minutes of planning board, April 20, 2021.
No problems.
Yeah, I had one grammatical, but I can't remember what it was. I highlighted it on my computer, and that doesn't do me any good.
Didn't happen then.
Yep, didn't happen. All right. Take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve the planning board minutes of April 20, 2021 as presented. Scott Williams.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Russ. All those in favor? Roger?
Aye.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye.
Russ, aye.
Bill
Aye.
O'Neill as an alternate.
Aye.
All right. And I heard an aye from Tom
Yes.
and
Bob,
Bob.
Aye.
All right, all around.
For for the March 16th and April 20th minutes, I would just like to point something out, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
that both Amelia and I will be signing these. We both worked on them in order to get these done and in for tonight to make sure everything was all up to date. So just so you know, that's why we're both written on.
Well, that will give you atta girls for tonight.
All right.
Jessica, a question, Jessica. Do we have to come in and sign Tara's document?
No, it's just the chairman that signs.
Fine, that's good.
Who's on the hook?
I'm on the hook. So, next week, correspondence for the board's review and discussion or action.
Yep, there's nothing for that
We
one.
got nothing. Correspondence for the board's information, that's the release of the covenant restriction lot sales on Dobbins Brook.
Yep, so it's just a copy for you guys, just to let you know that there was a release on, phase 1, phase 2 for Dobbins-Burke subdivision, so you can sell lots. That's it.
Okay. And then, Tom Dibney.
Yep, so then that's the addition of the appointment of an alternate. Tom Divney, he's been here for 3 meetings now. So since he is going to be appointed sort of in the middle of a year, he's gonna sit for the 1 year. So then when he comes back in March, he gets appointed for 3 years. And then at that time, Lee Hills Grove will be down to 2 years, Bill O'Neill will be down to
Gets
1
a
year.
rotation.
And then we have some rotation in place.
Good. Welcome, Tom.
So if
I think it's welcome.
you want to vote him in? He's
Yep,
been
so,
here for 3
so
years.
so we do the official voting in. Can't congratulate him yet.
Okay, I'll move to accept Tom Divney as an alternate for the Alton Planning Board.
All right, motion. We have a second. Seconded by Russ. All right, all those in favor? Roger?
Hi.
Scott, aye.
Drew, aye. Tom?
Aye.
Bob?
Bye-bye.
Now we'll congratulate.
Now we can congratulate you, Tom. All right. So, I think that covers our agenda, gang.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, huh?
Didn't be so light out.
Can I,
Right.
Good night.
One
can I
last
get a
vote?
question into Mr. Sample?
Yes.
Russ, Sample, I have a copies of your subdivision. It's, 2 inches thick. Would you like them?
Yes,
I will get them to you.
perfect.
And a motion to adjourn before.
Yep, I'm just looking for one last motion.
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second?
Scott Williams made that motion.
Roger seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott, aye.
Aye.
Roger, aye.
That's a unanimous aye. All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Jess.
Meeting.
So I need to do up a form